The Valthori High Council chamber was quiet as Ambassador Zaxtol finished showing the holographic video. The 12 council members looked worried as they sat around the large crystal table. So it is true, Elder Shirva said softly. The Dreth have taken over the Centauri colonies. They are now only 2 star systems away from our home. We have been fighting for 30 years, General Kivra added, touching the scars on his blue face. We have lost more than half of our territory. The Dreth keep coming. They follow the same pattern every time. Systematic, never stopping, impossible to defeat. Ambassador Zaxtool nodded seriously. That is why I called this emergency meeting. We have one option we have not tried yet. A species the Dreth have never met before. The room's lights changed to blue as a hologram of a blue-green planet appeared in the middle of the room. Earth, Zaxtool said. Home to humans. Elder Shirva frowned. The primitive ones? They have barely set up colonies on their neighboring planets. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours. And yet, Zaxtool replied, our watching posts have seen something special about how they grow. Their technology advances faster than any species we have ever seen. What took us thousands of years they did in just hundreds. General Kivra leaned forward. Are you suggesting we break our rules about not interfering with developing worlds? Make first contact with a civilization that cannot yet travel faster than light? I am suggesting more than that, Zaxtool said. I am suggesting we ask for their help. Everyone started talking at once until Elder Shirva raised her hand for quiet. Explain why, Ambassador. The Dreth have defeated 17 advanced civilizations by using the fact that we all fight in predictable ways. Their battle computers can guess what we will do, because we fight using the same logical rules they do. Zaxtol waved his 4-fingered hand through the hologram, changing it to show videos of human wars. But humans, they are different. Their war history is chaotic, adaptive, often makes no sense by our standards. They fight with emotion as much as with planning. The Dreth cannot predict what they have never seen before. You want to give weapons to a primitive species? Another council member objected. I want to save our civilization, Zaxtool said firmly, and I believe they may be our last hope. Captain Alan Carter of the United States Space Command stood frozen in shock as the massive alien ship appeared above the International Moon Base. The ship looked like it was made of flowing curves, very different from the sharp angles of human buildings. Sir, they are broadcasting on all radio channels, Lieutenant Kate Williams reported, keeping her voice steady despite the historic moment happening in front of them. Put it through, Carter ordered. The screen turned on, showing a humanoid figure, with shiny blue skin and large expressive eyes. People of Earth, the alien spoke in perfect English. I am Ambassador Zaxtool of the Valthori Alliance. We come to you in our darkest hour to suggest working together against a shared enemy that will soon reach your world. Carter looked at Williams, then back at the screen. This is Captain Alan Carter of Earth Space Command. We are listening. Captain, Zaxtol continued, my civilization faces complete destruction by a race called the Dreth. They are methodical, conquerors who have defeated every advanced species they have encountered. According to our calculations, they will find your planet within 5 of your Earth years. And you want our help? Carter asked, doubt clear in his voice. From what? I can see your technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours. Technology is not everything, Captain, the ambassador replied. We have studied your species. You have something unique, something the Dreth have never faced. And what is that? Unpredictability, creativity and conflict, the ability to change. The rules when you are losing. The alien's face was serious. We are offering to share our technology, faster than light drives, energy weapons, shields if you will join us in fighting against the Dreth. Carter took a deep breath. That is a decision far above my level, Ambassador. I need to contact Earth's leaders right away. Of course. But please tell them how urgent our situation is. The Dreth are coming, Captain Carter, and when they arrive, normal warfare will not save any of us. As the transmission ended, Carter turned to Williams. Contact the President and the military leaders. Tell them everything is about to change. 6 months later, The Nevada desert heat waves rose as Dr. Olivia Reed fixed her glasses and looked up at the tall Valthori ship. The Joint Human Valthori Research Facility, named Breakthrough Base Buer, was running at full speed. "It is like trying to drink from a fire hose," she said quietly to herself as she looked at the latest designs on her tablet. "That is a good way to describe it, Dr. Reed." The voice came from behind her. Olivia turned to see Kivnell, one of the Valthori science officers, coming toward her with his smooth walking style. "Kivnell," she greeted him with a smile. "I did not hear you coming." "Your species does not hear as well as we do," the alien noted kindly. "Have you made progress with the shield modulation algorithms?" Olivia sighed. "Yes and no. We understand the ideas, but making them work with what we can build now is hard. We do not have much time," Kivnell reminded her. "The Dreth fleet moves closer to your solar system every day." "I know." Olivia ran a hand through her short brown hair. "But you have to understand, you are asking us to jump ahead hundreds of years in development. It is not just about understanding the technology. It is about building factories capable of making it." They walked together toward the main research building, a strange mix of human and Valthori design. Inside, dozens of scientists from countries around the world worked with their alien partners. "The United Nations Security Council is meeting again today," Olivia said. "There is still a lot of disagreement about what to do." Kivnell's large eyes blinked slowly. "Your world being divided into separate countries makes things complicated. That is putting it mildly." Olivia stopped at a security checkpoint, scanning her badge. "Some countries see this as a chance to gain military advantage over their rivals. Others do not trust the Valthori motives. And everyone wants access to your technology." "Such concerns seem small when facing extinction," Kivnell observed. "That is humanity for you," Olivia replied with a small smile. "We never stop competing even at the end of the world." 3 months passed since the Valthori aliens arrived on Earth. Inside Breakthrough Base, Jack Daniels, the chief engineer, called out to Dr. Olivia Reed as she entered the main lab with Kivnell. "Dr. Reed, we fixed the power problem." Jack's eyes were bright with excitement. Olivia hurried over with Kivnell following behind. "You stabilized the energy flow?" "Better," Jack grinned widely. "We created a whole new approach. Instead of trying to make Valthori technology work with our materials, we made something completely different." He pointed to the modified engine, part on the table. "It's less efficient than the Valthori design, but we can build it with materials we already have, and we can make many of them quickly." Kivnell leaned closer, studying the changes with obvious interest. "Fascinating. You replaced the crystal matrix with layered superconductors." "Exactly," Jack nodded. "It's not as elegant, but it works." "This was not in our design plans," Kivnell said. "That's because we didn't follow your plans," Jack explained. "We couldn't. So we invented our own solution." Olivia watched Kivnell's expression change as he understood what this meant. "This is why the ambassador wanted your help," he said quietly. "This ability to find new ways when normal approaches fail." "It's what humans do best," Olivia agreed. "Now let's see if we can use the same thinking with those weapon systems. You showed us yesterday." As they moved to another workstation, Olivia's tablet made a sound with a high-priority alert. She looked down and her face became serious. "What is it?" Jack asked. "The UN Security Council vote." She looked up at her colleagues. "The Global Defense Initiative has been approved, but China, Russia, and the United States all want to develop separate independent military programs with Valthori technology." Kivnell's skin pulsed with worry, a Valthori expression of alarm. "That was not our agreement. A divided response will not work against the Dreth." "Welcome to human politics," Olivia said grimly. "Even facing extinction, we're still competing with each other." "Maybe," Jack suggested. "This competition might actually speed up development. Different approaches, different solutions, all aimed at the same problem." "Or we split our resources and fail together," Olivia countered. Kivnell looked between them. Is this how your species usually prepares for war? Jack and Olivia exchanged glances before Jack answered. No, Kivanel. This is just the beginning of how we fight. And trust me, the Dreth haven't seen anything yet. 1 year after first contact, the first human ship with faster-than-light technology was ready. The EDF Defiance sat in Earth orbit, its sleek design showing both human and Valthori influence. Admiral Frank Martinez walked through the ship's corridors, nodding to crew members as he made his way to the bridge. Each person he passed wore a uniform with patches from different countries, a symbol of the fragile global cooperation. Admiral on the bridge, announced Commander Irene Voss as Martinez stepped through the door. At ease, Martinez said, looking around at the multinational crew. Status report, Commander. All systems ready, sir, Voss replied. Engineering reports the FTL drive is operating within expected parameters. We're cleared for departure in 30 minutes. Martinez nodded and turned to the communications officer. Any word from the Chinese or Russian vessels? Yes, sir. The Beijing and the Volkov both report they will launch next week, so we're first, Martinez mused. Good. The race is on. Lieutenant Greg Harris at the tactical station looked up. Race, sir? Martinez smiled slightly. Make no mistake, Lieutenant. This is as much about proving what humanity can do as it is about preparing for the Dreth. Each country wants to show they can adapt Valthori technology better than the others. Even with aliens about to invade? Harris asked. Especially then, Martinez replied. Fear makes old rivalries stronger, but it also drives innovation. The Admiral moved to the captain's chair and pressed a button on the armrest. This is Admiral Martinez to all hands. In 30 minutes, we will make humanity's first jump to faster-than-light speed. Our mission is simple. Scout the edge of Dreth territory, gather intelligence, and return safely. He paused, looking around at the bridge. Crew, what we learn on this mission may determine the future of our species. But remember, we are observers only. Under no circumstances are we to engage the enemy. We're not ready for that. Not yet. The Defiance emerged from FTL travel at the edge of the Arcturus system. On the bridge, the crew watched their sensors carefully. No signs of Dreth activity in the immediate area, Harris reported from Tactical. Proceed to Phase 2, Martinez ordered. Deploy stealth drones. I want eyes in every part of this system. For the next 3 days, the Defiance remained hidden behind a small moon while its drones mapped Dreth patrol routes and defenses. The ship's computers recorded and analyzed every piece of data. On the 4th day, Harris called Martinez to the tactical station. Sir, I've noticed something strange about the Dreth patrol patterns. Martinez leaned over the display. Show me. Here. Sir? Harris pointed to a series of data points. They follow exactly the same route at exactly the same times every cycle. There's zero variation. Almost like they're programmed, Martinez observed. Exactly, sir. And look at their response to this asteroid field. Harris brought up another display. When they encounter an obstacle, they always make the same correction even when it's not the most efficient route. Martinez stroked his chin thoughtfully. They rely on predictable patterns, no creativity, no adaptation. That could be a weakness, Voss suggested, joining them. A significant one, Martinez agreed. Continue observations. I want to know everything about how they operate. Later that night, Martinez recorded his personal log in his quarters. The Valthori were right about one thing. The Dreth are formidable. Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful. But they're also rigid, predictable. They fight like machines, not people. He looked at the star map on his wall, Earth marked as a tiny blue dot many light years away. If we're going to survive this, we can't match them ship for ship or weapon for weapon. We need to fight differently. We need to be unpredictable, creative, everything they're not. Martinez smiled grimly to himself. The Valthori sought our help because they saw something in humanity they lacked. Maybe they were right. Maybe being less advanced gives us an advantage. We've spent our history fighting asymmetric wars, using cunning to overcome superior force. He shut off the recorder and whispered to himself, and that's exactly how we'll defeat the Dreth. The Defiance returned to Earth after its scouting mission. Admiral Martinez stood before the Global Defense Council, a room filled with military leaders and politicians from around the world. "The Dreth are everything the Valthori warned us about," Martinez said, pointing to the holographic display showing Dreth ships. "Their technology is far beyond ours. Even with Valthori upgrades, we cannot match them ship for ship." A Chinese general frowned. "Then what hope do we have?" "We have this," Martinez replied, changing the display to show data patterns. "The Dreth fight like machines. They follow the same patterns every time. They never adapt or improvise, and that is a weakness we can use." He turned to face the room directly. "For the past 15 years, military leaders have worried about fighting against artificial intelligence. We created war games and strategies to defeat smart machines. Now we face an enemy that thinks like a machine, and we already know how to beat them." The room filled with murmurs as people began to understand what he meant. "I propose Operation Ghost," Martinez continued. "Instead of building a traditional fleet to match theirs, we create ships designed specifically to confuse their systems. Ships that can change their energy signatures, that can appear and disappear from sensors, that can look like many ships instead of one." Dr. Olivia Reed stepped forward. "The science team supports this approach. We've already developed prototype systems based on what the Defiance discovered. The Dreth rely on perfect information. If we corrupt that information, their entire battle strategy falls apart." "How soon can these ships be ready?" asked the American president. "First units could be operational in 6 months," Reed answered. "The Dreth will be here in a year," Ambassador Zax Tull warned from his position at the back of the room. "Then we'd better get started," Martinez said. 6 months later, Lieutenant Greg Harris looked out the viewport of his new command, the stealth frigate Phantom. The ship was unlike anything the human race had built before, its hull covered with materials that absorbed sensor signals, its systems designed to run silent. It was built not to fight but to deceive. "All systems ready, Captain," reported his first officer, Leah Chen. Harris nodded. "Begin operation." The Phantom and 5 other similar ships slipped into FTL, headed for Dreth territory. Their mission? To plant sensor buoys throughout Dreth space, devices that would send false readings to Dreth defense systems. 2 weeks later, they reached their target area. The Phantom dropped out of FTL on the edge of a Dreth-controlled system. "Stealth. Systems functioning perfectly," Chen reported. "No signs they've detected us." "Deploy the first buoy," Harris ordered. The small device ejected from the ship and activated, immediately beginning to broadcast signals designed to look like background radiation. "Now we wait," Harris said. "Let's see if they notice anything unusual." For 3 days they observed the Dreth patrols passing near the buoy. Not once did they change course or show any sign of detecting something wrong. "It's working," Chen said, unable to hide her smile. "They're ignoring it completely." "Proceed with Phase 2, Harris ordered. "Activate the signal pattern." The buoy changed its broadcast, now sending out occasional pulses that mimicked a small ship passing through the area, appearing and then disappearing too quickly for Dreth ships to investigate. The response was immediate. Dreth patrols began, changing their routes, sending ships to investigate the Phantom signals. Within hours, their orderly patrol pattern was in disarray. "They're chasing ghosts," Harris said. Just as the Admiral predicted, over the next 2 weeks the human ships planted dozens of buoys throughout Dreth territory, each one programmed to create different false readings, phantom fleets, sensor shadows, impossible energy spikes. Slowly but surely, the Dreth defense network began to lose cohesion as it tried to respond to threats that weren't there. Dr. Reed sat in the main lab at Breakthrough Base, looking at data coming in from the buoy network. Kivnell stood beside her, his expression showing concern. "This approach would never have occurred to us," the Valthori scientist admitted. "To focus on deception rather than direct confrontation. It's an old human strategy," Reed explained. "When you can't match your enemy's strength, you attack their decision-making process instead." "But it is only buying time," Kivnell pointed out. "Eventually the Dreth will adapt." Reed smiled. "That's what Phase 2 is for." She pulled up a new set of schematics on her screen. The design showed small unmanned ships packed with explosives. Drone swarms, she explained. Thousands of tiny ships, each one barely large enough to register on sensors. Individually, they're no threat. But together, they could overwhelm. Dreth defenses, Kivnell finished, understanding dawning in his large eyes. Exactly. While they're busy chasing sensor ghosts, we'll be building the real threat. The first Dreth scout ships entered the Sol system 18 months after first contact. They came in a standard formation, following standard protocols exactly as they had done in 17 other star systems. What they found waiting for them was anything but standard. The scout ship's sensors showed confusing, contradictory readings. Earth's defenses appeared to be in dozens of places at once. Phantom energy signatures popped up and disappeared. Communication signals came from empty space. When the Dreth commander ordered his ships to advance toward Earth, they were met with a wave of tiny objects, each one barely registering on sensors. The Dreth ignored them, focusing on the larger threats their battle computers identified. It was a fatal mistake. The drone swarm surrounded Dreth vessels and detonated simultaneously. The explosions weren't powerful enough to destroy the Dreth ships outright, but they didn't need to be. The real damage came from the electromagnetic pulses that followed, designed specifically to disrupt Dreth control systems. From Earth, Admiral Martinez watched the battle unfold on the command center's main screen. They're responding exactly as predicted, he noted. No adaptation, no change in tactics. The main Dreth fleet will arrive soon, General Laura Sanchez warned. This was just their advance force. By then, Phase 3 will be ready, Martinez replied, looking at the schematics for humanity's newest weapon, ships that could actually mimic Dreth communication signals and give false orders to enemy vessels. Waities, Valthori fought the Dreth for 30 years and couldn't defeat them, Sanchez said. We've held them off for less than 2 days. The Valthori fought the war the Dreth expected, Martinez answered. We're fighting a war they can't understand. And that makes all the difference. The main Dreth fleet arrived in the Sol system 1 month after their scout ships were defeated. This time, they came with hundreds of warships. Their massive vessels moved in perfect formation toward Earth. In the Global Defense Command Center, Admiral Martinez stood with General Sanchez and Ambassador Zaxtoul, watching the Dreth approach on the main screen. They've changed their formation, Sanchez noted. They learned from their first defeat. Not enough, Martinez replied. They're still thinking like machines. They've adjusted their tactics but not their strategy. What do you mean? Asked Zaxtoul. They believe we defeated their scouts with superior firepower, so they brought more ship, Martinez explained. They don't understand that we beat them by changing the rules. Martinez turned to the communications officer. Signal all ships. Begin Operation Hydra. Throughout the solar system, hundreds of small human ships activated special transmitters. Each one began broadcasting signals that made it appear to be a Valthori battleship. On Dreth sensors, it seemed as if a massive Valthori fleet had suddenly appeared behind them. They're taking the bait, Sanchez said as they watched the Dreth fleet split into 2 groups. Half turned to face the Phantom Valthori fleet while the rest continued toward Earth. Now for Phase 2, Martinez ordered. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden weapons platforms powered up. These weren't conventional weapons. They were gravity disruptors, designed to create localized areas where space itself became unstable. Gravity weapons online, reported the weapons officer. Targeting Dreth fleet. Fire, Martinez ordered. Invisible beams shot out from the hidden platforms. Where they hit, space rippled and warped. Dreth ships suddenly found themselves pulled in multiple directions as gravity shifted unpredictably around them. Their formations are breaking apart, Sanchez observed. Their ships can't maintain position. The Dreth rely on precise formations, Zaxtoul explained. Their weapons are designed to work together in specific patterns. Exactly, Martinez nodded. Break their formation, and you reduce their effectiveness by half. As the Dreth struggled to regroup, the real human fleet moved into position. These ships were smaller than the Dreth vessels but far more numerous. Each one carried a single, Powerful EMP weapon designed to disable rather than destroy. All ships commence attack, Martinez ordered. The human fleet swarmed around the disorganized Dreth vessels. Instead of engaging in direct combat, they darted in, fired their EMP weapons, and retreated before the Dreth could respond. One by one, Dreth ships lost power and drifted helplessly in space. "It's working," Sanchez said, unable to hide her amazement. "We're actually beating them." "Don't celebrate yet," Martinez cautioned. "Look." He pointed to the screen where a massive Dreth vessel, far larger than any they had seen before, was emerging from FTL at the edge of the system. The Dreth command ship. Zach's tool identified it, his skin paling with fear. Their high commander never enters battle unless victory is assured. They still think they're going to win, Martinez mused. "Can we defeat that ship?" Sanchez asked. "It's at least 10 times the size of our largest vessel." "We don't need to defeat it," Martinez said. "We just need to capture it." Both Sanchez and Zach's tool looked at him in shock. "Capture? That's impossible," Zach's tool protested. "No one has ever captured a Dreth command ship." "That's because everyone always tries to destroy them," Martinez replied. "We're going to try something different." He opened a channel to the Phantom. "Captain Harris, are you in position?" "Yes, Admiral," Harris's voice came back. "Team is ready to deploy." "Execute Operation Trojan," Martinez ordered. The Phantom, still using its stealth technology, moved silently toward the Dreth command ship. Inside, a small team of soldiers prepared for the most dangerous mission of the war. "Remember," Harris told his team, "our goal isn't to fight. The Dreth outnumber us 1,000 to 1 on that ship. We get in, plant the device, and get out." "What exactly is this device?" asked Leah Chen, looking at the small metal sphere they had been entrusted with. "Dr. Reed calls it a logic bomb," Harris explained. "It's designed to infect the Dreth command systems with human-designed algorithms." "What will it do?" another soldier asked. "Make them question their own programming," Harris said. "At least that's the theory." The Phantom moved alongside the massive Dreth vessel, finding a small maintenance hatch that the Dreth sensors overlooked. The team sealed their spacesuits and moved through the airlock. Inside the Dreth ship, everything was geometric and precise. Corridors meeting at perfect right angles, lights spaced at exact intervals. It was like moving through a computer circuit. The team followed the path Dr. Reed had calculated, avoiding Dreth patrols by using their predictable movements against them. They reached the main computer core without being detected. "Plant the device," Harris ordered. Chen attached the logic bomb to the core and activated it. Immediately, the sphere melted into the Dreth technology, its nanobots spreading through the system. "Device planted," Chen reported. "Now we have 10 minutes to get out before it activates." The team retreated the way they had come. They reached the Phantom and disengaged from the Dreth ship just as the logic bomb began its work. Back in the command center, Martinez and the others watched as strange things began to happen to the Dreth fleet. "Look at their movements," Sanchez pointed. "They're becoming erratic." Ships that had been moving in perfect formation suddenly changed course, some firing on their own allies. The command ship itself began broadcasting contradictory orders. "What's happening to them?" Zach's tool asked in wonder. "The logic bomb is introducing human thinking patterns into their battle network," Martinez explained. "Creativity, intuition, doubt, all the things the Dreth eliminated from their decision-making processes. You're making them think like humans?" Zach's tool asked, astonished. "And they can't handle it." Martinez nodded. "Their entire society is built on perfect order and logic. Introduce chaos into that system, and it collapses," Sanchez finished. As they watched, the Dreth fleet fell into disarray. Without their rigid command structure, individual ships seemed unable to function. Some retreated into FTL while others simply powered down their weapons. "Send the message," Martinez ordered. A transmission went out to all Dreth ships in a language they could understand, pure mathematics describing the terms of surrender. "Will they accept?" Zach's tool wondered. "They're logical beings," Martinez replied. "When defeat is mathematically certain, Surrender is the only logical choice. One by one, the remaining Dreth ships powered down their weapons. For the first time, in their long history of conquest, the Dreth had been defeated. Humanity did in months what we couldn't do in decades, Zaxtool said quietly. You truly did change the rules of war. 3 months after the battle for Earth, representatives from 17 alien species gathered on the rebuilt United Nations Plaza in New York. It was the first Galactic Peace Conference ever held on Earth. Admiral Martinez stood at the window of his office watching the many different alien ships in orbit. Some were Valthori, some belonged to species freed from Dreth control, and a few were even Dreth ships now controlled by their new leadership. Admiral, they're ready for you, said Lieutenant Chen, now promoted after her role in Operation Trojan. Martinez nodded and straightened his formal uniform. How does the speech sound? Perfect, sir, Chen smiled. Short, simple, and to the point. Just the way I like it, Martinez said as they walked toward the conference hall. Inside, the large room was filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. The Valthori sat near the front, their blue skin standing out. In the corner, a group of Dreth representatives waited nervously, their once proud posture now humble. Ambassador Zaxtool approached Martinez at the entrance. Admiral, once again I must express the gratitude of my people. Without humanity, we would all be under Dreth control by now. We all did our part, Martinez replied modestly. And now we have to figure out what comes next. That's the harder task. Indeed, Zaxtool agreed. Building peace is more difficult than winning war. Dr. Olivia Reed joined them, accompanied by Kivnell. The Dreth representatives want to speak with you before the conference begins, she told Martinez. Really? That's unexpected. Martinez followed Reed to where the Dreth waited. Their leader, Sub-Commander Vexthor, stood slightly taller than the others. Since the defeat of their fleet, the Dreth had been forced to develop individual identities, something they had evolved beyond centuries ago. Admiral Martinez, Vexthor said in a stiff, formal voice. My people wish to understand something before the peace talks begin. I'm listening, Martinez replied. We studied every known form of warfare in the galaxy. We developed perfect counters to every strategy. Our tactical systems could predict any conventional attack. The Dreth's voice contained genuine confusion. How did humans defeat us so completely? Martinez considered his answer carefully. You prepared for every type of war you knew, but you never considered that there might be ways of fighting you hadn't seen before. But your technology was inferior, another Dreth pointed out. Technology isn't everything, Martinez said. Humans have spent our history fighting against enemies with better weapons or more soldiers. We learned to use creativity and unpredictability because we had to. The logic bomb, Vexthor said. It did not just defeat our fleet. It changed us. Many of my people now experience emotions, uncertainty, individuality. These concepts were removed from our species long ago. Are you saying we damaged your species? Martinez asked with concern. No, Vexthor replied after a moment. You freed us. For centuries, we believed perfect logic and order were the highest goals. We removed chaos from our thinking, but in doing so, we lost something essential. Martinez nodded slowly, understanding. Sometimes our greatest strength can become our greatest weakness when we rely on it too much. The lights in the hall dimmed and brightened, signaling that the conference was about to begin. We should continue this discussion later, Martinez said. The Admiral made his way to the podium as representatives from Earth and 17 alien civilizations took their seats. He looked out at the gathered beings, former enemies now trying to find a way to live in peace. Representatives of the galaxy, he began. 1 year ago, Earth was unknown to all of you. We were alone, believing we might be the only intelligent life in the universe. He gestured to the Valthori delegation. Then the Valthori came to us asking for help against an enemy they could not defeat. They took a chance on humanity, a primitive species by their standards, but one with a unique perspective. Martinez paused, looking at the Dreth representatives. The Dreth were not evil. They were simply following their nature, a nature that valued perfect order above all else. They could not understand species who thought differently. Humanity has a long history of conflict, he continued. But from that conflict, we learned important lessons. We learned that there is strength in diversity of thought, that unpredictability and creativity can overcome superior force, that sometimes you have to change the rules to win the game. The room was silent as all eyes focused on him. Now we face our greatest challenge, not winning a war, but building lasting peace among species who think in fundamentally different ways. This will require us to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, to learn from each other, to find common ground despite our differences. Martinez looked at Dr. Reed and smiled. Already, human and alien scientists are working together on new technologies that combine the precise engineering of the Valthori, the efficient systems of the Dreth, and the creative adaptability of humans. He turned back to the audience. I propose we create a new galactic council, not dominated by any one species or way of thinking, but representing all approaches, the logical and the intuitive, the orderly and the creative, the traditional and the innovative. The room erupted in approving sounds, everything from human applause to Valthori light pulsing, to the low humming of another species Martinez didn't recognize. As Martinez stepped away from the podium, Ambassador Zaxtol approached him. A fine speech, Admiral. You've given us all much to think about. Let's just hope it works, Martinez replied. Peace is always harder than war. True, the ambassador agreed. But I have faith in humanity's ability to surprise us again. You were our last hope in war. Perhaps you will also show us a new path in peace. Later, as the formal conference began, Martinez stood with Reed, Harris, and Chen on a balcony overlooking the proceedings. Did you ever imagine this? Reed asked, gesturing to the diverse gathering below. Earth at the center of a galactic alliance? Never, Martinez admitted. But that's the thing about humans. We're adaptable. When the rules of the game changed, we changed with them. And now, Harris added quietly, we're helping write the new rules. Not just for war, but for peace too. Chen smiled as she looked at the stars visible through the transparent ceiling. I wonder what's out there that we haven't met yet. Whatever it is, Martinez said, I'm pretty sure humanity will find a way to surprise them too.